Hey everybody, this is Amelia with Sandhills Farm to Table and the Helpful Plate, and I'm here with my lovely friend Mercedes, and we are going to talk today about something that I think is really helpful in the winter months, and that is grounding foods and warming spices. So Mercedes, will you introduce us to this topic?
So
Cool.
the way that I think about grounding foods and warm spices has a lot to do with how we feel energetically.
Okay. So
So-
tell us a little bit about, explain what that means for people that might not understand the energy balance.
Okay, so we have our chakras or chakras or energy centers, whatever you want to call them, and they are inside of this physical body that we see.
Okay.
For some people, that's a hard concept to understand, but it's like we have germs. We can't see the germs, but we know
Okay.
they exist.
Okay.
So energy, we can't see it, but we know that it's there. And so the energy has a lot to do with how people feel. And once it's obvious where the imbalance is, then the foods come in as tools and support to get people feeling more balanced, healthier, happier, more stable.
Okay, so before we get into that, let me ask a question about the energy centers. How would a person know if their energy centers are out of balance? Like, what might be some things the ways they would feel, or something like that would let them know that?
So there'd be lots of different ways, but overall it would be not feeling like themselves, not
Okay.
feeling well. It could be emotional, mental imbalances, physical ailments are manifestations
Okay.
of emotional and mental imbalance. And so basically when people ask me when should I come in for energy work, I say when you don't feel good, when you don't feel, that feeling where I don't feel like myself, something's off.
Okay. So this also assumes that people kind of know their bodies and know themselves and know when something might not feel right.
Yeah.
And so would you say that the vast majority of people, if something isn't right, they're going to go to a doctor, and maybe it may or may not be a physical...
Depends on the person.
Okay, fair. That's
So
fair.
some people will immediately go to the doctor, and some people will have the vibe of, oh, it'll pass, it'll be okay.
Oh, that's a really good point too.
Yeah. So I find that the people that come are curious and they really want to feel better. So it's a lot of education as well. I find that a lot of people are surprised after the session to get, I call it tools, it's not homework, but I give a long list of options. So, for example, I would say this energy center is off balance. Once they're into balance, then I would say, for example, your root was out of balance. Some foods that would be good for that would be root vegetables. Some practices for that would be spending time in nature, particularly walking
excellent.
barefoot in nature.
Okay.
There are essential oils, there are yoga postures, there are lots of different things that the individual could practice so that they can work with getting themselves in balance so that they're empowered in the moment.
Okay, so just so people know, tell us how you came about this education to understand what this looks like and how to help people. Is this the Reiki?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So about 7 years ago, a friend of mine said that there was this Reiki course and that I should take it. And I said, well, why do you think I should do that? This was when I was living in Guatemala. She said, I just think that you're really good with energy, and whenever I take your yoga class, I feel that, and I feel like you have the strength to do this work. And I just was like, oh, how much is the course? She was like, I'll take it with you. So we did it together, and our teacher was from Spain. And it was really interesting to see connections where thoughts or premonitions I had as a child really connected
Come
to
on.
this being able to read people's energy.
That is very amazing.
Yeah, so I did the first level, second level, did the third level, now at the master level. So it's a lot of intuition,
Okay.
mainly, and that intuition growing with practice. So working with a lot of people and
That is so interesting. Where do you, so you've been back in Southern Pines for a year, a little over a year. So how do people, and we're getting to grounding foods, I promise. How do people find you, or when they come to you for the first time, what is an average response of why they came to see you?
So all of the people that come to see me, it's word of mouth.
Okay.
I teach yoga, and sometimes people ask me what I do, and I teach yoga, and also offer Reiki and Thai massage and meditation and all the things. And so I think that mostly the people that come to me have either heard about it or their friend has referred them. I get a lot of people who say, I'm sending my friend to you because she's going through this. And this is a lot of different things.
Okay.
It could be, someone that's bipolar, or someone that's had a miscarriage, or something that is big enough to get them to want to explore an option that they might not have tried before. And some of those people are in the energy world. They've heard about it or they tried it, and they're looking for someone locally that can provide that service for them. But I work from my home space, so everyone that comes is either someone that I know or a friend of a friend.
Sure.
So that's how I meet all those people.
Okay, so let's move on a little bit and go ahead and talk about this idea of grounding foods. So based on a person's energy center, tell us about what grounding foods, some examples, and when, under what circumstances you would prescribe such a diet and how it would work.
Okay. So for grounding, I would recommend things like potatoes, root vegetables, foods that are really rich with red colors.
Okay.
I would recommend this if someone is having a hard time feeling grounded, if their thoughts are really up in the air, if they've been moving around a lot, if they've been traveling a lot.
Okay.
I'm making sounds over here. Typically when people travel or they're going through a transition, that can unground them. So the foods will help with that. Some of the essential oils you can incorporate into foods as well. That is going to help with grounding. If someone has an aversion to some of these foods, then the list could go more into detail, or that individual might go more to practices.
Okay.
If someone prefers movement, then it would be specific yoga postures.
Okay.
Walks in nature, being in nature in general.
So as far as like the foods go, if they're red foods, I think of grounding foods as things where the food that you're eating is actually in the earth.
Yes.
Like a carrot or a potato or even a turnip. But there's lots of red foods like tomatoes. Actually, radishes, I think, are, grown in the earth. That's the root. But like a tomato or a red pepper is red, but it's part of the plant that's above ground. Is that considered a grounding food or no?
Yes, but I would go first to food that comes from the ground.
The root vegetables. Now, is there any tie to the need to eat grounding foods in any season? And the reason I'm saying is we're entering into winter. Do people find, and I guess in my mind I was wondering because, when we're kids we talk about the bears hibernating and really a lot of grounding foods or things that are root vegetables tend to be prepared in a way that's rich and comforting. So is there a tie to seasonal consumption, or is it just about how your energy center is feeling?
I think that the foods, and I'll send you the list of the ones that I have recommended.
Okay.
I think that the foods could work year round, and I do suggest them year round.
Okay.
I think the part with the temperature and the time of year is how the food is prepared.
Oh, excellent.
So if you're making a stew, that warmth is going to be very nourishing.
Okay.
And self-care is a huge part of the grounding practice.
All right, excellent. All right, so let's transition just a little bit, kind of an addendum to that. Let's talk a little bit about warming spices. I think of things as warming like cinnamon or peppers that tend to literally make food taste warm or spicy. Tell us how that might work and when you would say yes, have this, or no, don't have this, and with what foods.
Okay. So that would be for energetics. If someone is a little too grounded, a little sloth-like, having trouble getting motivated.
Motivated. All right, lack of motivation.
Yes.
Let's get some fire in there.
Yes. Then spice it up. That's going to give you energy. If someone is very frustrated, impatient, angry,
Okay.
avoid the spice because that's going to stoke the fire more.
Okay.
And so that individual would need to go more towards yogurts, something cooling like that to balance it out.
Very nice. So let's just take, for instance, if someone has had something, I'll use the word traumatic, I'm not really meaning that, but if there has been some sort of upheaval, they might go through a period of anger, like if there's a divorce or a job change where they're not happy about this is a change that maybe they didn't want. If they're going through all of the stages that you go through during transition, when they're during the angry stage, they're not going to want to
Avoid
these. But then maybe they go through a stage of grief either before or after where they are truly not motivated. So then we would want to use the warming spices.
Yes.
So for any specific event, there may be a difference in what you would prescribe as far as movement and food to get them through each stage of transition. Would that be fair?
Yes.
Okay.
And the people that come into the sessions oftentimes are coming because they're trying to heal from trauma.
Wow. Do they know, can they identify the trauma, or are they just like, I feel off, and then you're able to kind of unpeel the layers to figure out the event? Or does that even matter?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Well, I just thank you so much. Do you
You're
have
so
any
welcome.
other things you want to add about, like, let's transition a little bit. We've talked about grounding foods and warming spices. Anything that you would recommend during winter months so that people, for me, I'll say the winter months, especially because the days are short and they're dreary like today, I do feel a little blue in the winter time. So, when we're in that time where if you have a 9-to-5 job, you see very little sunlight. Is there
Right.
any diet you would recommend to help,
Yes.
like, boost us?
Yes. So I would think things like an orange, for example. Orange will give you energy. You could also do wild orange essential oil if you're
Oh,
into
excellent.
that. So you could take a drop of wild orange oil and peppermint and rub it between your hands and then just smell.
Excellent.
So that's going to give you an uplifting boost. I suggest that also if people are having trouble getting going in the morning, to put that in the diffuser.
Okay.
Wild orange and peppermint. You can even apply peppermint to the back of your neck or
Okay.
your wrist, and that's gonna.
What about like a drop in the shower with the steam? Do you ever do that?
Eucalyptus would be great for
Eucalyptus,
that. And you
okay.
could also just put the plant. Just put the plant in the corner of the shower, and the
okay,
steam is gonna
okay,
make that
excellent.
smell, and that will really help to motivate.
Good. Well, it sounds to me like no matter where you are in life or what's happening, what season you are, there is a way naturally to help you get through that stage.
Yes.
And sometimes it's just retaining your contentment and your happiness.
Yeah.
But we're all going through, life is ever changing, shall we say. And so it sounds like we can get there with a little bit of help from Reiki and yoga and essential oils and good foods. What do you think? Is that a good plan? All right. Well, we thank you for listening, and we've had a great time. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks, everybody.